Welcome to Build Your Arsenal. All right, today we're unboxing the Daniel Defense H9, and it's a controversial pick. Honestly, it's been a complete disaster for Daniel Defense. It was overhyped, and having Coleon Nayar as your ambassador for your product, that's a huge marketing error, especially with the Gen 2 and that ridiculous video he did saying there was nothing wrong with the Gen 1 version, and basically anyone who had issues with it was crazy. The big gun tubers gladly said good things about the H9 to keep the free products coming their way. Daniel Defense overpromised how much it was over-engineered. Supposedly they did all this testing over years. Their website says over 1 million test rounds, as this was teased for years. And they failed to deliver. The Gen 1 keyhold, there were hot spots on the frame and grip area. There were reliability issues with failures to go into battery and difficulty feeding certain ammunition. The trigger was complete crap, gritty and issues of trigger freeze. The optic mounting system had problems with being milled incorrectly, and the plates took forever to get. And there were lots of reports that customer service was slow and non-responsive. All of this came at a price tag of $1,300 to make matters worse. I think people were genuinely excited for the H9, and Daniel Defense messed up. I think the consumer market of firearms, especially at this price point and this niche, has little patience for getting screwed over. But to Daniel Defense's defense, they called back the entire pistols themselves, and now we have the Gen 2. But it may be too little, too late. The gun's reputation has taken a massive hit, and everyone is on to newer and better things. I was at Scheels a few months ago, and they said they can't move the H9. The customer service reps both said how disappointed and uninterested they were in the H9, even with the Gen 2. It just did nothing for them. However, at my local gun shop, when I was picking up a Staccato, the owner said he never shoots his XC and rather have the H9 all day. I had pretty much written it off. I figured if I could find one at a decent price, I would grab it, but not for over $1,000. I recently saw that Daniel Defense had a Memorial Day promotion. It's over now, YouTube moderator, so I'm not trying to sell or promote the purchase of a firearm. Going for a free Delta Pro point if you get the H9. So I started to look around for a good bargain. So I got mine for under $850. Throw in the Delta Point Pro, and that's a good buy in my opinion. So let's get into this unboxing and first impressions. Of course, this is Daniel Defense's take on the H9 platform. A full steel, striker-fired 9mm with low bore axis, 1911 style trigger shoe, and a ton of curiosity behind it. So here's what you get in the box. The pistol, 3 15-round mags, a Daniel Defense chamber flag, cable lock manual, the Daniel Defense sticker, and the code for the free optic plate. It all comes in a hard-sided case. The gun itself, it's got weight. You feel the steel frame right away, and honestly, it feels really good in the hand. It doesn't feel cheap, and the ergonomics are just there immediately. The bore axis is low, but it isn't super low the way it was hyped to be. I have other guns that have the same bore axis and a few that I would say are even better. The first ones that come to mind are the CZ P10 and the SIG P210 Carry. It is nose heavy. That doesn't bother me in the slightest, but I mention it in case you're looking for something that's more balanced. My suspicion is some of the reduction in felt recoil and muzzle rise has to do more with how nose heavy it is than the low bore axis. I do think it looks awesome. I like the lines, the grips are great and have perfect texture. I like the front and back strap. The undercut is done nicely. The slide serrations are done well and are grippy. Plus it just looks cool to me. The finish is top notch. The triggers face some issues. So let's dry fire the trigger and check it out. The manual does warn against regular dry firing. Some users have reported inconsistent or heavy trigger pulls, which led to Daniel Defense improving the fire control group in the Gen 2. According to Daniel Defense, modifications included enhanced coating and adjusting tolerances to reduce trigger pull weight and improve consistency. Daniel Defense advertises the trigger as a silky and crisp 1911 style straight pull trigger. There's a tiny bit of take up. It feels like it's going to break. A little more take up, pressure, then a break. If you do it slowly, it feels pretty heavy. Let's check the reset. It's not bad, nothing spectacular, still some take up, feels like it's going to break, then a little more pressure and it breaks. Disengaging the safety is a bit weird. Mine feels pretty rough. Nothing about this is silky or smooth, so I may add a bit of lube to see if it helps with that. Here's another issue with the trigger. It sounds like a rattle can. It's not fitted very well. This is on the side of disappointing here in terms of fit and finish. With the Gen 2, there's a new dual recoil spring system that supposedly helps some of the issues of the Gen 1. It feels like it's sprung very heavily, probably to mitigate against those issues it was having with lockup, going into battery, feeding issues, and even keyholing. Another thing I would point out is this tab on the recoil spring assembly that mates up with the barrel. This seems like a potential weak point, so we'll see how it holds up. The rest of the controls seem solid out of the box. The slide stop and mag release are easy to reach with the thumb of my dominant hand. I actually really like the mag release, and the magazines drop freely. The front sight is a fiber optic, rear is blacked out, and the top of the slide has nice serrations. Let's also take an up-close look at the internals. Now let's talk about price. I picked this up well below MSRP, just under $850, and I got mine during Daniel Defense's Memorial Day promo. So with a mail-in rebate, it came with a free Delta Point Pro. That made it worth rolling the dice. I've noticed that online they aren't moving though. You can easily get one for about 35 to 40% off MSRP, brand new. At full price, I'd pass. So no hype here, just curiosity, value, and a gun that might deserve a second shot. Who knows? As big of a flop as the H9 has been, it may be quietly phased out and become a collector's item down the road. That's the unboxing. I'll reserve my final judgment until I get some range time on it. If you've had your hands on the H9, let me know below, especially if you've seen accuracy issues or have had any reliability quirks. Hit like, drop a comment, share and subscribe. I appreciate you watching, and see you next time.